Claude Code 2.0 is smarter, faster, and more agentic than ever. But here's the problem. It's so packed full of features that most people are going to miss the stuff that actually matters. The good news is that I spent weeks testing out all the new updates in Claude Code 2.0 and seeing how they fit in to real-world projects. And in this video, I'm going to save you hours and hours by showing you the essential features of Claude Code 2.0 that you need to apply to your coding workflows today. We're going to cover the 11 essential upgrades that every Claude Code user, new or old, needs to know about Claude Code 2.0, and it's going to be organized into 3 clear sections. Section 1 is about must-know features. We'll explore smarter and faster models, the Explore Subagent for codebase search, and the checkpoint system to easily undo changes. Section 2 is about level-up features. These features boost productivity when you're using Claude Code for real-world projects. We'll cover things like advanced context management and the interactive question tool, as well as using Claude Code outside the terminal with the new VS Code extension and Claude Code on the web and mobile app. Section 3 is about power user features. These features give you advanced customizations and let you push Claude Code to its agentic limits. We'll cover things like discovering Claude Code best practices with plugins, teaching Claude specialized knowledge with skills, and building custom agents with the new Claude Agent SDK. So whether you're a Claude Code beginner or power user, I guarantee that you can learn something from this video that's going to help you level up with Claude Code 2.0. But before we dive in, I'm Aftar, and I teach people about the best AI coding tools and how to get the most out of them, no matter your skill or experience level. So if you're trying to level up with AI coding, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for new videos. And one more thing, if you're new to Claude Code or want to refresh on the basics, I actually have another video that covers 6 months of Claude Code lessons in 27 minutes. Many viewers have called it the most useful video on Claude Code that they've ever watched. So check it out before or after you watch this video. It's linked in the video description. With that out the way, let's dive into section 1, which is the must-know features of Claude Code 2.0. Essential number 1 is probably the biggest upgrade in Claude Code 2.0, and that's new models. Claude Code now has 3 models that you can choose from for your coding tasks. First, there's Sonnet 4.5, which is the new default model in Claude Code. Anthropic claims that Sonnet 4.5 is the best coding model in the world, and the benchmarks back this up. Sonnet 4.5 beat out Opus 4.1, GPT-5 Codex from OpenAI, and Gemini 2.5 Pro from Google on the SWE-bench software engineering benchmark, which measures real-world software engineering capabilities. Sonnet 4.5 can now also handle longer, more complex tasks than before, with Anthropic claiming it can focus for more than 30 hours on complex, multi-step tasks. I've been using Sonnet 4.5 as my default for both planning and execution in Claude Code. And honestly, it's the real deal. It's definitely replaced Opus 4.1 for me as the model that I use the most. Second, we have Haiku 4.5, which is the second new model, and it's also the fastest and cheapest model in Claude Code. Haiku 4.5 best compares to Sonnet 4. It's twice as fast and operates at 1/3 of the cost while maintaining similar coding performance. And my own experience with Haiku confirms this. It's blazing fast and really useful for straightforward coding tasks. One of the coolest things about Haiku 4.5 is that when you're in plan mode, Claude Code automatically uses Sonnet 4.5 for planning and Haiku for execution. This is nicknamed Sonnet Plan. Now, if you remember the old Opus plan mode, this is similar to that. I think this might be the new sweet spot for people because it gives you the power of Sonnet 4.5 to plan and reason while using the faster, cheaper model Haiku 4.5 for implementation. The third model in Claude Code 2.0 is Opus 4.1, which is a premium model for your most demanding coding tasks. Opus 4.1 also came out on top in OpenAI's GDP Val, which is a newly published evaluation framework that measures AI performance on real-world, economically valuable work tasks. Opus 4.1 came out on top, beating out the likes of GPT-5, Gemini, and Grok as the best-performing model on real-world tasks from fields like finance, healthcare, and customer support. Finally, be aware that the models you can access now depend on your Claude plan. Pro users on the $20 a month plan will have access to Sonnet and Haiku, but no Opus, while Max users will have access to all models on the $200 a month plan. The second must-know feature in Claude Code 2.0 is the Explore Subagent. This is a specialized agent designed to rapidly gather context from your codebase. Exploring a codebase is one of those tasks that's both common and important, whether you're planning to implement a feature, writing documentation, or just getting up to speed on a project. The Explore Subagent is powered by the new model Haiku 4.5, which means it's fast and efficient at searching through your codebase. A cool thing about the Explore Subagent is that Claude will actually use it automatically. You don't need to do anything differently in order to benefit from it. Claude will automatically use the Explore Subagent when it detects that the task that you're asking for matches its capabilities. But you can also explicitly invoke the Explore Subagent by prompting Claude using phrases like explore the codebase or use the Explore Subagent. You can even specify how thorough you want the search to be. Use the keyword quick for a basic search, medium for moderate exploration, or very thorough for comprehensive analysis across multiple locations. For example, you could say, use the Explore Subagent with medium thoroughness to find all analytics tracking events in the app. The third must-know feature in Claude Code 2.0 is one of the most requested from the community, and that's checkpoints and rewind. With checkpoints, Claude Code now automatically saves the state of your code and the AI conversation before each Claude-initiated change. One checkpoint is created for every prompt that you give. The best part is that you don't need to do anything to enable checkpoints. It just happens automatically. If the AI starts going down the wrong path, you can instantly rewind to a previous checkpoint with the rewind command. Just type /rewind to view all the checkpoints and select which one you want to go back to. You've got three options when it comes to rewinding. You can rewind the code, the context, or both. And it's this ability to revert back both code and potentially poisoned conversation context that makes a checkpoint feature such a game changer in Claude Code 2.0, because it allows you to explore new directions with confidence without fear of messing up, because reverting is as easy as the rewind command. Finally, 2 pro tips with checkpoints. First, once you rewind to a checkpoint, you can only go backwards from there. You can't jump back and forth. Second, checkpoints isn't a replacement for Git. It's a complement. It's designed for quick session-level recovery and doesn't cover changes made by bash or direct file edits. So you still want to use Git for overall version control for your projects. Essential number 4, and the final feature in this must-know section, is something that you'll notice immediately. Claude Code 2.0 has a completely refreshed terminal interface, and it's really clean. The enhanced terminal UI is smoother, snappier, and way more informative than before. The change that I personally like the most is a new crab mascot called Claude that shows up whenever you start Claude Code. It's a nice touch. There's also a new animation for thinking keywords like think and ultra think, with the thinking mode now automatically turning on when you type these keywords. Then there's a status bar, which is much more customizable now, giving you better context of your project at a glance with information like which folder and which Git branch you're on. To configure the status bar, use the /statusline command. I keep my status line showing the current folder and current Git branch because I work on multiple projects at the same time with Claude, and it helps me not get confused. And that wraps up section 1, the must-know features of Claude Code. Let's move on to section 2, where we're going to learn about the level up features that are going to help you take your productivity with Claude Code to the next level. All right, this is section 2, where we're going to cover the new features of Claude Code that are going to help you level up from just using Claude Code to being truly productive with it. We'll cover things like the new VS Code extension, the new interactive question tool, and using Claude Code outside the terminal, on the web, and mobile apps. If you're used to working in an IDE like VS Code or Cursor or Windsurf, the new VS Code extension for Claude Code is something that you should 100% use. It's got a completely redesigned interface that lives in its own tab. Previously, you had to use a built-in terminal, but now you get a much more cohesive experience. My favorite thing about the Claude Code VS Code extension is that you can view and edit files while prompting Claude all in one place. This really speeds up workflows like reviewing PRDs or product requirements docs, reviewing engineering plans, or inputting API keys in environment variable files for Claude to take action on. With the VS Code extension, you also get real-time inline diffs and drag and drop support for adding files and folders right into chat. The Claude Code extension is available on the VS Code Marketplace, which means you can use it in VS Code, but also in Cursor, Windsurf, and other VS Code-based IDEs. To install it, just search for Claude Code in the VS Code App Store, and then once installed, you can open it from the settings menu. Or you can just use the /IDE command to switch back and forth. Personally, I'm a fan of the new IDE extension. I found myself switching back and forth between the terminal and using Claude Code in Cursor, and so I highly recommend giving this a try. This next level up feature completely changes how and where you can use Claude Code. You can now run coding tasks in Sandboxes directly from the Claude mobile app or web app. This is huge for developing on the go. Let's zoom in on Sandboxes. When you kick off a coding task from web or mobile app, it runs on Anthropic managed sandboxes. Each session runs in its own isolated environment with real-time progress tracking. And you can be as hands-on or as hands-off as you like. You can let Claude run wild or actively steer Claude and adjust course as it's working through tasks. You can also run multiple tasks in parallel across different GitHub repos. So you could have Claude working on a bug fix in one repo while simultaneously updating documentation in another repo, all from your phone or browser. But my favorite feature in the web and mobile app experience is teleporting. Teleporting allows you to easily switch your web session to your local dev environment. It moves all the context, all the messages, and all the edits to your local environment so that you can stay in the flow. This makes it super easy to switch back and forth between local and remote execution. To get started, just connect your GitHub to Claude, select your permission level, and you're good to go. Quick note, accessing Claude in the web and mobile app is currently a beta feature in research preview, so if you don't see it yet, hopefully you'll be able to access it very soon. The next level up feature is a new set of context management tools. And if you've ever hit limits unexpectedly, then these features are going to be super helpful to you. First, you've got two new commands to help you understand your usage better. The /context command lets you visualize the context of your current session, and the /usage command shows your usage and tells you if you're close to hitting any limits in your current session or this week or month. These are great for staying aware of where you stand so that you never run into rate limits mid-task. Next up, longtime Claude Code users can attest that performance on a task is much worse after an auto-compact happens mid-task. So a pro tip for using Claude Code is that you can actively clear the context window versus letting it auto-compact. And there are actually 3 ways to do this now. There's the /clear command, which resets everything to 0. It's a complete fresh start. I recommend using this when you're switching to develop a totally new feature or investigating a totally new problem and you don't need any of the context that you built up. Then there's a /compact command, which clears conversation history, but keeps a summary in context, which is what happens during autocompact when your context window gets full. The compact command is useful after you've finished a smaller part of a bigger plan, so you can carry some knowledge of what's happened before into future subtasks. And then there's a new feature called micro-compact, which is a smarter version of compact. But this isn't a command that you can run. It's actually an automatic command that Claude calls to clear old tool call results when context gets large. This helps extend your session length without manual intervention, and it's brand new in Claude Code 2.0. The final feature in the level up section is all about helping you prompt Claude better. The big feature here is the interactive question tool. Claude can ask you questions when it needs more input. This makes the experience of using Claude Code much more conversational, especially if you're in plan mode, where Claude will ask clarifying questions before diving into an implementation. This helps you get better results from Claude because it'll ask for clarification before implementing versus you giving it feedback after it's done. This pattern reminds me of ChatGPT, and in particular, the deep research feature. where it asks you clarifying questions before it goes off and compiles research reports. It always forces me to think, what am I actually trying to do here? Which is just helpful for better thinking, but also helps me get better results. So I'm really happy to see this kind of pattern being adopted more widely in tools like Claude Code. This brings us to the end of section 2, and I'm sure you're excited to use some of these features to level up your productivity with Claude Code. But hold up, because we've got more to learn in the final section of this Claude Code 2.0 Essentials video, and that's the power user features. All right, section 3 is for the Claude Code power users. In this section, we'll look at advanced features that let you customize Claude Code to your specific needs and let you get even more done. We'll cover how to teach Claude specialized tasks with skills, how to discover and share best practices with plugins, and building your own agent with a Claude Agent SDK. First up is one of the most powerful and most talked about features in Claude Code 2.0, one that helps Claude level up with specialized knowledge, and that feature is skills. Skills are packaged instructions to teach Claude your way of working. You can think of skills as a way to load specialized knowledge into Claude on demand. Instead of building custom agents for everything, you package knowledge into reusable capabilities that Claude loads when it needs them. At its core, a skill is actually quite simple. It's just a folder with the skill.md file. The file starts with a name, a description, and then contains instructions, code, and resources, as well as pointers to other files in the folder. And what's cool is that once you create a skill, you can use it everywhere, in Claude Code, in the Claude app, and the Claude API. Skills use progressive disclosure, where Claude will only initially see the skill names and descriptions, and then load full skills only when relevant to the task. This helps keep your context window free from bloat, which is really helpful for managing token usage limits. Anthropic launched a number of pre-built skills for Claude Code, including skills for working with common file formats like PDF, Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, and an example skill repo, which contains things like a web app testing skill for testing local web apps using Playwright, an MCP server guide for creating MCP servers, and even a skill creator skill, which you can use to build your own skills. And the community is already building amazing third-party skills, from test-driven development frameworks to EPUB book analyzers and meeting insights tools. You install skills using plugins, which we're going to cover next. Skills is one feature that I plan to experiment with a whole lot more. So let me know in the comments if you've tried skills and what your experience with it has been so far. The next power user feature is plugins. Plugins are a way to discover and share best practices and customizations for using Claude Code. Plugins are a big deal because it means you can now easily use the best customizations from other Claude Code users without having to replicate or set them up yourself. A plugin can contain custom commands, sub-agents, MCP servers, hooks, and skills. To get started with plugins, use the /plugin command to browse and install new plugins. A key concept for plugins is marketplaces. You can think of a marketplace as a collection of plugins that's made by a certain developer or a certain company. To add a new marketplace, you also use the /plugin command. Companies and individual Claude Code users like you and me can create these marketplaces, and they usually take the form of a GitHub repo. Since launch, there are now hundreds of plugins out there, but let me show you 3 of my favorites that I found useful so that you can get started with plugins if you're curious about them. First up is the Claude Code Marketplace from Anthropic itself, which has things like the multi-agent feature development workflows and Git commit plugins. Second is the Every plugin for compound engineering. This is a set of customizations to help Claude Code self-improve and make the next feature you make always easier than the last. And third is the Agents repo by Seth Hobson, which contains over 60 plugins for intelligent automation in software development. For more plugins, there's many community aggregators out there like claudemarketplaces.com, where you can find more plugins to try out. Just be careful to verify it's not shady before you use them. And a final pro tip with plugins is that they can sometimes take up a lot of context, so you can enable or disable them on demand to avoid context overhead. The final power user feature is the Claude Agent SDK. This is previously known as the Claude Code SDK. The Claude Agent SDK is the perfect foundation for creating your own AI agents. It's based on the idea that Claude Code and its agent harness of tools and a file system is actually the perfect foundation for creating custom agents in general. The Claude Agent SDK gives you and your team access to the same core tools that power Claude Code, including its tool execution system, context management, and permission framework. For example, I use the Claude Agent SDK to create a personal travel agent for my wife and I to plan our upcoming travel according to our preferences. And of course, I use Claude Code to do the implementation. Anthropic also built their GitHub Actions with this SDK. The SDK supports creating custom sub-agents and defining hook behaviors programmatically. If you'd like a full deep dive on the Claude Agents SDK, let me know in the comments, and if there's enough demand, I'll be sure to make one. So that brings us to the end of section 3, which is the power user features. But before we end off, there's one more essential piece that I want to cover. And for some people, it might be the most essential piece of all, and that's cost. First up, Claude Code is still only available on the paid plans. There's no free version yet. And the 2 paid plans that you can choose from are the Pro plan and the Max plan. For the Pro plan, it's $20 a month. This is the cheapest plan for Claude Code, and it gives you access to Haiku 4.5 and Sonnet 4.5. The Pro plan is what I recommend you start with if you're new to Claude Code or just use it occasionally. For the Max plan, you've actually got 2 options. Max 5X is $100 a month, and Max 20X is $200 a month. The 5X plan gives you 5X higher rate limits, and the 20X plan gives you 20X higher rate limits. Both the Max plans give you access to all models, meaning that you get access to Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus. I recommend the Max plan if you're serious about using Claude Code for real-world projects. It's a plan that I personally use, and it's definitely worth it if you've got the budget for it. Thirdly, you can also use the API for billing, but I'd only recommend this if your company is paying for Claude API access. Otherwise, I've just found it way too expensive. So if you're paying for Claude yourself, I'd recommend getting a Pro or a Max plan. Well, that's it for this video. Claude Code 2.0 is a massive upgrade, and I'm super excited to see what you'll build with it. If you learned something from this video, please subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends and coworkers. And if there's anything you want to learn more about, let me know in the comments. I read every single one of them. Catch you in the next one.